Section 3 is going to be about setting up the project. So we're going to briefly kind of get things started before we even build a 3D model and image. So we're going to have two brief lessons. We're going to start, kind of organize our first project, and then we're going to import the photos and get them ready for Section 4, which is where we kind of process everything. So there's lots of things that we can do before we even go through building our 3D model and our image, and this can help us stay a lot more organized. This can help us save time, especially once we get into more complex projects, and it can benefit us much later down on the workflow. So we're going to organize our project files, and I'll kind of show an example of how I do that for every single project that I do. We're going to open up a blank Metashape file, and we're going to save it in the project folder location. So very basic, but very important to go through. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up our blank Metashape file and organize our project files. Okay, so once we open up, we should already have our blank Metashape file kind of open from activating our license and everything. So we've got that. And then open up a new Finder or File Explorer window, depending if you're on Mac or Windows. And go to a folder that you can kind of call, example Metashape, or for this, actually, let's call it Getting Started. Okay, or you could call it First Project or whatever you want. Okay, so let's go ahead and just create that folder. All right, anytime I do a new project, I'm photographing a tree or a wall or whatever it is, I create my own project folder. Okay, great. Inside this, let's go ahead and create another folder called Photos. So rather than just dumping all the photos in here in this project folder and then saving our Metashape project, we'll see later, let's keep things nice and organized and have a separate folder called Photos. Later on, when you get into more complex projects, like you have 10 trees that you photographed, you may want to have 10 subfolders. So maybe this is Photos 1, or this could be Tree 1, or whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to call it Photos 1. And there's the first tree or the first object I photographed, and then maybe I do Photos 2 or Tree 2, and I do the second group of photos. The reason why we want to separate them is, number one, so you can kind of tell the difference between your different models that you're going to create, but two, there's a really cool tool in Metashape where rather than importing these individually, you can tell Metashape, click on this main folder that has all of these, and it imports all of them at the same time, organizes them into these separate folders, and labels them. It's really, really nice. So worked on projects where I've got dozens or hundreds of models and I need them in the same Metashape project file. I have all of those folders separated. So we've got photos, and then we've got a folder of photos. So for this project, I'm not going to have multiple stuff, so I'm just going to have one. So let's go ahead and bring some photos into this. Okay, so once you get your photos into your photos folder, so I've got some here. I actually went on the downloads section and I downloaded the rock wall. So I'm going to work with that one as this first example. I just kind of want to try a different one. So once we have that in here, okay, we've got our photos. Now we're going to go to our Metashape window. Okay, and you'll see at the very top it says Untitled. We just opened up a blank Metashape window. It's nothing yet. Let's go ahead and save it. So let's press save. A new window will pop up. We can go ahead and go to our project folder location. So I went ahead and found that example Metashape folder, my Getting Started folder. Inside this, I see my photos. So inside my Getting Started project is my Getting Started model. We'll call this Getting Started. Why not? You can call it Project 1, Model 1, whatever you want to do. And then we're going to save. Okay, great. So now the top, it's relabel, Getting Started. That's my project. And we still have the blank Metashape window. If we go back to our Finder or the File Explorer window, let's go ahead and quickly look at that real quick. So you'll notice that it has our Photos folder, but then it's got these two other things right here. Getting Started.psx, and this kind of has the little Metashape icon, and then Getting Started.files. Getting Started.files is all the metadata and things that the .psx or our Metashape window accesses. So this is really important for when you start moving stuff around, which I don't recommend. Once you save it in a location, try to keep it there. But if you absolutely have to do it, you have to move these two together. They're kind of like sisters. They got to stay together, okay? So it's because this guy accesses that, all these dot files and all this stuff behind the scenes that we do not access. We don't really touch anything in that dot files folder. If you do, you could cause the project to crash or become corrupt or whatever, and it won't work anymore. If you have to open it again, you click on this guy and you open, or you open a blank Metashape window and you go to File, Open, and then you find your project. Okay, so that's kind of important to do, especially once you start. Maybe if you have to share this project with somebody else, put it in a folder and share that folder that it's within. So share this getting started folder with the person, or share these two together. You can zip them together, put them in their own folder. Okay, so now we have our Metashape window. We saved it. We kind of learned a little bit about organizing the files and everything. So let's go ahead and move on to the next part where we will import the photos.